Herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Meet the World. Heute mit David Searle, National Chairperson von Baker Tilly in Neuseeland. Ich würde ihn bitten, sich einmal kurz selbst vorzustellen. So I'm sending over the word to you, David. Give us a short introduction of yourself, please. Hey.
Yeah, hi everybody. As Janet said, I'm the chair of Baker Tilly New Zealand. I've actually got a couple of roles. We are a network organisation. I'm managing partner in our Auckland office, and I'm also chair of our national board.
Right, and for how long have you been at Baker Tilly?
Just a little while, actually. Just looking at it the other day, I think my 30 years comes up in 2 weeks. So I'm just a new employee.
Wow, impressive. All right, so take us a bit through Baker Tilly in New Zealand.
So the firm in New Zealand started in our Auckland office. So we were founded over 75 years ago, and by our founding partners, Staples and Rodway. So that's why we're called at the moment Baker Tilly Staples Rodway. And then around 20 or so years ago, we became a national network where we had firms that were in a Big Four network come to us and join our network, and we founded our national network. So in New Zealand now, we're around 7 offices and about 62 partners and around 500 staff, and we would be the 6th largest network in the New Zealand environment.
Can you tell us a bit about your client structure?
Yeah, so we've got really varied clients. I mean, New Zealand's only around about 5 million people, and spread through geographically, the size of New Zealand would be similar to the size of the UK. So we're 2 islands, and so we're 7 offices. We're serving different size markets. So we have quite a varied client base, and it's quite difficult to absolutely specialise in the New Zealand environment because of our small size. So we deal with listed companies in New Zealand all the way through to sole traders or in our various offices. We're very strong in the agricultural sector. We have a very strong agriculture and farming basis in New Zealand, so we are very strong throughout the country in that. But really, we have a very varied client base, and we would be one of the absolute top firms in that middle market. So successful, locally controlled businesses that need full advice. So that would be our target market, that middle market in New Zealand.
Okay, cool. So, and you just spoke about your national clients. Do you also have international clients?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of clients, both New Zealand clients that have migrated offshore, and they would be looked after by Baker Tilly firms around the world. And then just obviously through the Baker Tilly referral network down into New Zealand. New Zealand's starting to get a little bit more attention for clients investing in. In particular, it's attractive to the Japanese market. We've got a reasonably uncomplicated tax environment. So it is quite easy to do business in New Zealand. I think in the doing business surveys around the world, we are one of the easiest countries in the world. So people are starting to pay attention to the New Zealand environment and acquire. And so we are working for both within and not within the international network clients when they acquire down in New Zealand.
So as we spoke about your international clients, do you work together with other member firms of Baker Tilly around the globe?
So in particularly, we work very closely in the Asia Pacific Baker Tilly network. I am on one of the Asia Pacific Regional Council, and before COVID came along, we got together very regularly. So we would have 3 face-to-face meetings a year. So connections with an Asia Pac region is very, very strong, and also know people throughout the Baker Tilly network because of my length of tenure. In particular, we work incredibly strong with our Australian firms. New Zealand businesses often, when they branch out of New Zealand, the first place they go is Australia. So we do work incredibly closely with the Baker Tilly network in Australia.
Mm-hmm. And how is it about connections to other member firms around the globe? Maybe not in terms of working together on clients, but for other projects or for other reasons. Are there any connections, maybe even to Europe or Germany?
So we're on the case where Baker Tilly bought, so we're involved in the caseware methodology. So I'm a regular tender I was a regular tender at Baker Tilly conferences, so I do have strong contacts throughout the world. We would have a number of client connections throughout the world. It's just not as large as with Australia. So we were in the pre-network to Baker Tilly when it was called Summit. So I think we've been in the network for, well, as long as I've been with the firm. So we've been in this network for over 30 years. So we have been active members and have close connections throughout the network.
And you told me that there was a connection to Germany a while ago in the past, which is not current, but can you tell a bit more about that?
Yes. So we were involved in the Stadler audit for a number of years and worked with Baker Tilly Germany with that. And so I know one of our associates is just working with another person in your Baker Tilly Germany office. And so over the years, we have had connections. I'm just not sure of any current jobs that we've got with Germany at present.
Right. So tell us a bit about current market trends in New Zealand that might be interesting for Baker Tilly in New Zealand to work with or to offer services at.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, I think like the rest of the world, it's been surprising how robust our economy has been, given we've been in a global pandemic for 2 years. And it's really, it's very binary. You're either in an industry that's done well or you're in an industry that's done terribly. So a lot of our clients, fortunately enough, are not in the tourism and entertainment industries. We've got some long-established businesses. And so if you're servicing the New Zealand market, in general, you've done well, because people's discretionary spending that a lot of them used to spend overseas, they've spent on their house, they've spent on cars, they've spent on sporting equipment. So we've had a number of clients that service the New Zealand market that have done very, very well over the last couple of years. And we've supported them through the difficult times of just dealing with getting government subsidies when they needed it. And so it's been a very insular looking economy. So that's done well. But a lot of our export markets have still been strong. We've been hit with shipping issues. So some shipping companies haven't bothered to come to New Zealand. I mean, we are at the very bottom of the world. And so supply side issues and then delivery issues out of country have been a significant problem. But the New Zealand economy has fared very well. And then obviously we're a significant exporter of agricultural products throughout the world. And that has continued to do very well. I mean, milk solid prices have held up and gone up. So the economy has done very well from that point of view. So we're at that really crossroads where we've had a shut border for 2 years, and we desperately need to, in my view, open that border and start reconnecting that with the world. So we need to do that in a safe fashion, but I'd hope within the next couple of months that we can do that, because we have a shortage of human resources in New Zealand because people haven't been able to get in. So we've done very well, and a lot of our businesses have done well in this environment. But we do need to open back up to the world.
Yeah, I agree to that. So, one last question. You spoke about the tough last years. So what does that mean for this year for Baker Tilly in New Zealand? Which goals do you have, and how do you want to reach them?
Yeah, so we see pretty strong growth this year. So we just last calendar year was pretty strong growth. So from a professional services point of view, often it's it's either about you need to go out and find the work, or you need to be able to get the work done. Our stresses at the moment are going to be how do we get the work that we're finding done, because we are finding significant new work. So we've got a lot of work coming in the door. So we've got to focus on keeping our people happy and keeping them around so that we can get that work done. I mean, one of the things that every business in New Zealand is worries about is New Zealanders or Kiwis like to travel. And so they haven't done so much of that in the last couple of years. So it would be very normal for somebody, once they've got their professional qualifications, to do their overseas experience. And they might be traveling outside New Zealand for 2 or 3 years. We've had a couple of years where that hasn't happened nearly as much. So we may find once borders open, we have 2 to 3 years of that happening at once. And so a lot of our seniors and people that do incredibly hard and great work in our firm might disappear on their overseas experience. So we're finding the work well enough. It's just going to be a matter of how we get that work done in the next year is what we're worried about.
I mean, that sounds to be the better problem.
Well, it is and it isn't, isn't it? I mean, there's only so many hours in a day you can work. But we're looking at all avenues. So using, for instance, Baker in Sri Lanka for some audit staff. We outsource some BAS work to other parts of the world. So we're looking at all the different things that all of our offices around the world are considering to make sure that we can resource our work going forward without putting too much pressure on our people.
So David, thank you so much for the moment. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your input and for taking us through Baker Tilly in New Zealand. I hope the borders are opening soon so that we can visit your country again.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.